Hi there, my name is Amy Rainieri, and I'm producing a series of videos that I'm calling Thrift Store Renaissance. This is the first one, and what we're talking to people about is how to make an inexpensive Renaissance or medieval outfit that you're going to make using materials that you're finding in a regular thrift store. Now, I advise finding a thrift store that keeps their stuff hung up, sorted by size and gender. It makes it a little easier to find things. And as you walk down the row, you're going to look for certain types of fabrics that are more appropriate to these kinds of projects. People used to think that if you were in medieval time periods, and if you were making clothing for peasantry, that everything was very dull and very dirt colored. But they found out, doing spectral analysis on the fabrics found in burials, found in dump sites. There's not a lot of existing fabric from the time period, but when they analyzed them, they found out that they were every bit as fond of and capable of producing bright colors as other indigenous tribes people that you find in places like Peru and Africa and all around the world, where people will be able to, using plant dyes, create fairly vivid, intense colors, and they like them and they wear them. You'll find in time period that we don't see a lot of printing on fabric. Embroidery, yes. Weaving designs in, yes. Sewing designs on, yes. But not much printing. That, and you don't find fine weave knits. So no t-shirt fabrics. In a Renaissance fair kind of a context or costuming context, which is really where we're operating with this. Theatrical costumes, I would also avoid really most of your knits. You may find that for some velours, if you're trying to imitate velvet, that you may make some exceptions there. But be careful, because it doesn't look right. It doesn't look, period. Here's an example of a find. I'm talking about the amount of intervention we're doing. Really, preferably, you're just going to take stuff right off the rack and wear it. And you can do that. You're going to find that the shorter pants that people are wearing now are that just end below the knee. Those are suitable. Those are suitable for men. Women would have typically worn that under a skirt. But they're totally suitable. Usually what you do is, unless it has a very plain top, just like a drawstring or just like an elastic, you're going to wear those kinds of pants that you're taking right off the rack with a longer top or a surcoat that's going to cover the pockets and the fasteners and all the things that we do now. Also try to avoid things that are double stitched, because they weren't showing that off at time period. The blue jean fabrics, although they used some things that were cobalt blues, the weave is okay, but they look like jeans. That's about the only reason to really back away from things that are jean colored, that are wearing like jeans, because they're jeans and people pick up on that. Another thing that people are typically doing in a Renaissance fair is not being 100% compliant with headwear. I'll get into that later when I'm talking about headwear. But let's see what we can do with really simple changes. Now, of course, right off the rack includes things like if you found a shirt like this, or a shirt that had what's a keyhole collar, which has this has a short collar, so it has no collar at all. Maybe it has embroidery or something, and it comes around and then it has a slash that ends here. That's a real common garment, and a great removal change that I made for one was a muumuu, because in a muumuu, it's made to be a long sleeve garment. What it has is a lot of extra fabric. I cut out those pieces, sewed that seam, and created a chemise, which is kind of a long nightgown type object that would have been worn. It's a garment worn by men and women in the earlier part of the medieval period. And underneath, outfits by women throughout the entire period. So, but let's look at another removal project that I brought here to show you. What caught my eye on this one was the fabric. It's been very nicely machine quilted. It's not really quilted to anything, it's just a heavy fabric. It's a nice cotton. It's a fairly plain weave. That's all suitable. It didn't have to be. It could have been also a very intensely colored outfit. Still would have caught my eye. But it was very nicely done. If I went to the store, if I could even find a fabric this nice, it would cost me a fortune. At my thrift store, because it's a little bit nicer one, they charge, depending, if it's on sale you can get it for a song, but you're usually paying somewhere between $2 to $4. Not bad. Because I'm going to show you what all this takes. This is removal, and if you look at it, the basic forms of clothing haven't changed that much. That's our whole idea here. And they mostly started with a lot of forms that were being developed and worn in the Middle Ages, after the Byzantine era. And this is what we have. All we would need to do on this is remove the arms, and I'd probably remove the buttons. But in later Renaissance, they're okay. Placement's not 100% correct. Different types of holes used in fasteners. But in most cases, people wouldn't flag you on this. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is just remove the arms, which makes this a men's surcoat. No longer a woman's jacket, it's a men's surcoat. It can't be a doublet because we have no collar. And I could have taken the sleeve fabric and reconstructed this, but you know, I'm looking at stuff that's easy to change, cheaper to produce, for both theatrical, Renaissance fair, your own personal costuming, stuff you're going to wear just to go and enjoy an event rather than trying to be a reenactment. And we're not trying for that. So that's the scenery we're not going to hit. Don't need the letters or emails. Anyway, take off the arms, finish the edges. I'll show you a little later what that looks like. Here's another one along the same size. Now this is a little bit of a cheat because I think that not only is this probably a polyester rather than a silk. Silk is period. But it has a little bit of the look, and I think this is actually, from the feel of it, it's been painted on. But this could have also been embroidered on, so it sort of has the look of that we're cheating on. Well, let's try it the right way around. What we're going to do is make this little top into a bodice, and it's going to be really easy. Because it's contemporary, they've got a zipper hidden over here. And because it's pretty well hidden, you could just put this on somebody, and only somebody who knows the style better would go, where's the lacing? Well, the lacing belongs on the back. You could put it on the front, but with this styling I wouldn't. And what I would probably do, just to make this really quick and easy, is cut open the back, add eyelets, and it can be laced onto somebody, boom. You're ready to go. And I'll show you how that looks like later too. This one came and it still had the store tag on it. So this was really never been worn. But it's tapestry, and so it has a design that's been woven in, which is period. And again, depending on whether you're going early or late, you remove the buttons. Because this has darting, it's going to be a little weird because we're going to use it for a man's garment, but it's built for a woman. So we'll probably put it on a woman playing a man. Removing darts, we can get into that later. We talk some more advanced stuff, but that's like real sewing. For this case, I would go ahead and actually just put this right on somebody. This is kind of a shop and go. For later period. Early period, I'd probably remove the buttons, and you could either cover the holes with trim and install some toggles. I may do that with it. It's very attractive. But probably do that. And here's a little more advanced removal. Calling it sort of removal and rebuild, sort of a limited rebuild. Now you might look at this and now this is a great little doublet. I say that because even though it doesn't have a collar, it is built. It has very, very weak shoulder padding. If it were any heavier than this, I'd probably take the padding out. But it has these nice sleeves, which are late period. And you could take these to stop it here. You could put some banding. You could put slashes. You could get crazy with it. But what I'd probably do is go ahead and take off. You know, say, Amy, this has these slash pockets. Can you see them down here? That's not period. Now I could cover that with a piece of trim, but this is still, as a doublet, this doesn't fly quite right. It's too long. But those slash pockets are right about where you'd cut it. This is for a person smaller than me. You'd cut it there around the waistline. That gives you fabric, and even some corners already, to reinstall as peplum pieces. They have pieces that they put on the back. And I'll bring back that and show it to you too. But basically, that's what we're doing here, is we're trying to take things from this thrift store. And you can always find things like I said, like keyhole collars, very common, especially if you've got a thrift store does seasonal. You'll find it in their summer wear more commonly. And you can find things that have woven in stripes and textures and a lot of really interesting finishes to use. They're cheaper and partially constructed. How much better can you get than that? And a lot of them are ready to wear. Thanks.